fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines, and most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. At the end of the day, you guys, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. I also have a twice-a-week long-form podcast that I do, and we only speak to transportation professionals on our stuff, you guys. I am a firm believer that we need to put the right information out there from the people that are doing or have done what you're trying to achieve. And that way you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life out there. It's also one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. Solo show today. So I got a little bit of a topic we're going to discuss first. And then we're going to break down some articles, and we're going to go about our days here and make the freight move out there. But before we do anything, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about this, you guys, for my owner ops and everybody, you get paid to move these trailers. That's right. You get paid on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out to move these. So what they're working on right now is they got West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta, and you get $15.50 US to do that. They have 200 trailers in Staunton, Wisconsin, needing to get over to Milton, Ontario, you guys. So if you could create a drop trailer pool at your customer's facility, this is now possible, especially if you're a broker or if you're a smaller fleet and you're trying to get in the door with somebody and they need you to drop 10 or 15 trailers at their facility. You can now do that, you guys, and you get paid $600 per trailer out there to move those out to Milton, Ontario. Then they also have 150 trailers down in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up to Mississauga, Ontario. You get 800 Canadian to do that. And then finally, they got Milton, Ontario to Moncton, New Brunswick, and you get 400 Canadian to do that. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Stacy Steen and Xavier Campos, they will be in the audience. Hit them up. Do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. All right. We are at day 233 of the Freight Coach tally, which means that we have gone live 233 times. And this is also the reminder that there are some very real issues in this industry that we're not going to stop talking about. What I mean by that, truck parking issues, facilities issues, drivers not having access to bathrooms, food, showers, you name it. We're going to continue to bring this stuff up, you guys, because I don't do this for vanity metrics. All right. I don't do this to get a couple of likes or anything like that. I do this to change the fucking industry, because that's what I'm committed to through all of my content, is changing the industry and moving it forward in the right direction out there. Diesel did drop a little bit, which is always good to see. It's still very high. It's still $4.29 a gallon nationwide out there, you guys. It's still up 20 cents a gallon year over year at this point. And, you know, diesel's pretty much been high for the last year. But again, you guys, I get all this information from the EIA. EIA.gov is where I get this from. And, you know, use this to your advantage. Use this information so you can put it into your business and bring this to your customers, you guys. So I wanted to talk about rework facilities today for a little bit as we're getting in, and the importance of having them. And I'm thinking about this from my perspective as when I was early on in my career, and we moved a lot of food and beverage loads early on in my career. And we were going in and out of the same facilities time and time again. And, you know, loads would get rejected due to shifting in transit, or a pallet would tip over, and not knowing where to go in those moments. And I think, like, if you're out there moving consistent lanes right now as a broker, you need to look into that. How can you establish a network of rework facilities around the areas you're delivering into? What about ones that if you need a disposal, if you need to dispose of a load, find those out, you guys, now when it's calm, as opposed to when you're in the heat of the moment there. Because, you know, if a load shifts in transit, we have to get that load reworked and brought back to, you know, a Costco, a Walmart, or a Kroger or something like that. And time is of the essence on those things. So having those in place and having an established relationship is always going to be key. I mean, look no further. I mean, I talked to my friend Matt Fain with Pop Capacity a lot, and I send him information on this because he's got a solution, not specifically designed just for this, but he knows of a lot of warehouses that are out there. So if you're having trouble finding some and you're moving a ton of freight into a certain area and there's a load that shifted and you haven't found a consistent rework facility, get out there and get ahead of these things, you guys. Have these things in place, have a plan in place for when stuff goes wrong. I think it's a massive value add to have out there for your customers. And talk about a great selling point that's out there, because it's not always about the rate per mile, you guys. Like, there's a lot of information and there's a lot of different variables that go into moving shipments as a whole. Also, I was talking to my buddy Tyler Burkhofer this morning, and he was stuck on I-80 for the last couple of days, like a lot of drivers were. And, you know, again, like, these winter storms aren't going away, you know, anytime soon. Like, they're going to happen still. And again, how prepared are you? Are you researching these lanes prior to moving? Are we letting the drivers know about this, having chains, having warm weather or cold weather clothes, all of that stuff, and just putting that information out there? I think, again, it's like, as a broker, we need to be a concierge service to our carrier partners, you know, and especially to our customers too. If there's inclement weather that's going on out there, we need to let them know about this as well. If there is any pending delays that are out there, or if there's a route or like where we can take it and reroute the driver so they aren't delayed if it's a time critical shipment that we move out there. So look into these things, you guys, prior to picking up these loads. And, you know, we just got a couple more, knock on wood, we just got a couple more months left in winter, and we will continue to fight all of that as it comes along. We will also be doing a little rate analysis here today. And I wanted to always focus in on the Florida market, because we are in prime produce season right now. And it's still holding firm with this is going up. This is Tampa going up into Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's holding firm at $1.94 a mile right now for reefers. And let me see here what we got. And it's still the same Tampa. Here, let's try and switch it up to a different city here and see if this gives us a different shit. For all my drivers out there, if you're in Tampa and you're looking to get back up into Atlanta or Charlotte, go over to Orlando to get freight. Don't sit in Tampa, because it's paying significantly better, going like 30, almost 40 cents a mile more loading out of the Orlando market than it is in Tampa. Just a heads up out there. So if you're out there looking to get out of there, and again, how does this affect rates? As like, these are going to skyrocket here this month. March is like the official kickoff to produce season as a whole. So it's going to kick off and it's going to start affecting prices. So, you know, prices outbound Florida are going to be affected. Even non-produce loads are going to be affected by these. And then freight that is going into Florida is also going to change as well. And it's going to start to decrease. So again, take a lot of this information, you guys, and bring it to your customers and get ahead of this stuff, you guys, and then try and lock in. If I was a carrier, I would try and lock in as much freight or consistent pricing as I possibly can out there in this market, or really in any market, to get that consistent business out there. I was just talking last night on with my friend Mark Willis over on Road Dog Trucking on Sirius XM. And, you know, it was talking about looking at, you know, local freight and stuff, and regional freight, and how that is I personally feel like is the first freight that's rejected from an RFP standpoint, and getting a lot of this long-term business locked in. So going in there, and especially if you're a newer, you know, because we were talking about if you were coming into this market as a driver, and I'm tying this into the first article that we're going to break down, because, you know, there's never a perfect time to go into business, right? Like, if the market's high, it's not a perfect time. If the market's low, it's not a perfect time. But it's always a perfect time to start today if you want. You know, if you want to go into business for yourself, if you want to become an owner operator, if you want to buy a truck and a trailer and go after your dreams, do it. Do it today. Don't wait. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait for anything, because there's never an ideal time. There's always a reason to not do something. All right. You'll figure it out. If you want it bad enough, you will figure it out. And I want that to be the main message from a lot of this, you guys, because there's always going to be a reason to not do it, right? There's always going to be a reason to not. And I think that there is no better time than the present, no matter what, to go after what you want and really get some consistent business along with it too. It'll happen, you guys. It'll happen. You just got to get in there and rip that Band-Aid off and make it happen. And I'm doing that to segue into our first article, you guys, which is coming from Freight Waves. And as always, you guys, all the links to the articles that I break down are going to be over on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as iTunes and Spotify for the audio only replay of this. And we will get that out there almost immediately after the show. I put the links over there. And if you guys do go over to those other platforms to check those shows out, you guys, if you want to see the video on it as well, you guys do me a favor, subscribe and share the show, rank the show on those other platforms. That's how we are the top transportation podcast, is because of each and every one of you guys, because if you guys see value, your network's going to see value in this as well. All right. First article, truckload market has 25% too much capacity. Okay. All right. Let's see where we get these numbers from. Truckload capacity correction will last deep into 2023. The contract load acceptance volume, which measures accepted truckload tender volumes, is 25% lower than the peak values in 2021. With rejected tenders being near historic highs at that point, we can assume that this was the limit to the amount of volume contract carriers or volume carriers could handle. Considering exits are now just starting to outpace entrants, according to a recent FMCSA data, 25% may be a smidge low for a year of new authorizations. How long will capacity take to be more in line with demand? No demand, it says. Even with demand relatively unpredictable, there are no reasons to expect a significant stimulus event in the near future. The Fed is still fighting inflation with interest rate increases and has signaled that it has no reason to think the job is done. The only macroeconomic indicators with any real strength in them have been the job markets and revolving credit card debt dollar amounts, the latter of which have been negative sign for future consumption. There are far more reasons to expect weakening demand rather than strengthening in 2023, which means trucking operators have to play a waiting game as to when the form of pricing leverage will return. That being said, freight demand is far more fickle than capacity shifts and needs to be monitored more closely. Capacity changes slowly. The supply side of trucking transportation market is very slow to move, historically only changing around 1% per month. If we apply that rate forward, it will be 2025 before capacity and demand are in alignment. Decision process to enter the market is a long one for an owner operator. Many contemplate the move for years before pulling the trigger. Large fleets deliberate for months whether to expand, and then it takes another 9 months to receive the truck. Because of the lengthy and costly process to expand capacity, the decision to exit or park trucks is also extended. This is a life-altering decision for an owner-operator, and deliberation should not be quick. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to read this one. I'm not going to jump in with my opinions just yet. Capacity does not have to contract completely for rates to rise. Consumption and demand do not have the same constraints. Truckload demand flexes up and down 5% regularly month to month. Accepted tenders will get up 15% year over year by the end of August. This suggests for-hire truckload market has about a 15% excess capacity available at the beginning of the pandemic and what was a relatively soft environment. Even with a decent capacity buffer, seasonal price fluctuations on the spot market and rejection rates were present in 2019 and early 2020. By these standards, we can estimate that it'll take 10 months before the market has some seasonal behavior out there. I'm just going to string ahead here. And then how will we know? Trucking capacity is extremely opaque and difficult to measure. It's also irrelevant without understanding demand. Just because we have enough trucks doesn't mean that they're in the right place at the right time. Capacity needs to exceed demand for this reason. This article lacked a lot of substance. I didn't see how there was anything backing up that there was 25% too much capacity. It's a very arbitrary number. I feel that's out there. And again, you guys, just to put this into perspective, 80% up to 85% of the freight that moves is contracted freight. All right. 15 to 20% is spot market freight. So take that into consideration when you hear a lot of these numbers. The freight market is very, 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 very contract heavy. very contract heavy. The spot market accounts for such a small percentage of the freight. Yeah, I understand 15 to 20% of, is a decent sized number, but in comparison, it's not like it's 60-40 here. Like 80-20 is a big discrepancy on what is contracted and what is not. And then I think that finding that there's too many trucks in the market, I don't necessarily buy into that narrative at all. At all. I think that there's enough capacity for the freight that's moving that's out there. Now this has nothing to do with rates. All right. This has nothing to do with the carrier not wanting to take loads due to rates. All right. That's beside the point here. I just think that at the end of the day, back to what I was saying earlier, if you're contemplating going into business, do it. All right. Do it. And somebody out there who's sitting on the sidelines, who doesn't have their own company and doesn't have everything leveraged, might tell you different. Like, oh, I would wait for everything to improve. How do we know? What if it doesn't improve for 5 years? What if this market stays the same for 5 years? Or what if it improves tomorrow and everything skyrockets back up in prices and everything else, and you can't find anything? Like there's a lot, like this is what I mean by like just rip the Band-Aid off and make the move. All right. There is never a perfect time to do anything. If you're going to start a business today. All right. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week or next year or for whatever, because generally speaking, there's going to be a constant fucking storm when you're in business for yourself. It doesn't go away. All right. There's going to be something. Don't listen to people who are sitting on the sidelines about what to do in these situations. If you want to do it, do it. Fuck what everybody else has to say. That's my mentality. All right. Plain and simple. I have bootstrapped everything in my business. I have made some very large investments in my business this year that I didn't think was possible a couple of years ago. But through pushing through the hard times, because again, I went into business for myself in April of 2020. Like fucking, I was out of a job at the beginning of the pandemic, right? Seemingly everybody at that time told me, I don't know, wait for the storm to pass, find a job. Fuck that. Start right now. It doesn't matter. You will find a way. All right. You will find a way. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be somebody who's going to tell you to not do it. Do it if you want. Get in there. You can find freight. You can find consistent business. You can find direct relationships with customers. You can do it. All right. Don't listen to the people on the internet. And it's kind of ironic considering all my shit's on the internet. But at the end of the day, you guys, people are still onboarding new customers. Or new providers, whether you're a broker or a carrier, they're still onboarding new providers. It's still out there. There's still an opportunity. You just have to do it. You have to start. All right. So that article, freight waves and market has too much capacity. Next article we're going to break down, also from Freight Waves. Steam Logistics offering $2,000 in cash for quits, it says. This article came out on Saturday. And then I had guests obviously on Monday and Tuesday. So I didn't want to bring this up while my guests were on the show. I wanted to bring this down myself, and that they trim headcounts without the cost of layoffs. That Steam is offering employees $2,000 to quit the company, avoiding the cost of layoffs, even as it continues hiring new brokers in the network. And the Chattanooga, Tennessee-based 3PL said it's offering a cash for quits program periodically for several years, but it usually attracts few takers. Employees receive the latest offer via email. It's simply an offer to anyone in the company, and it's meant to help people move on if their heart's not in it for the long term. Steve Cox said that. It's rare that anyone opts for it, but we have had some take it up on this go around, likely due to the changing market. Paying an employee to quit differs from an employee buyout because structured plans typically include pay and benefits for a defined period of time. Layoffs can even be more expensive. It's a win-win in our view, and it's not meant to be anything but helpful transition for those who want it. And then it was how Zappos.com pioneered the cash for quits. The online shoe and apparel retailer acquired by Amazon in 2009 pioneered the cash for quits out there. And then it was, called, the offer in Zappos practice was designed to weed out those who wouldn't be committed. And according to Steve Cox, it helped maintain a great culture. Talks about how layoffs can be expensive. The cost of layoffs can be huge. No severance payments. Avoiding the cost of layoffs can be huge. No severance payments, extension of health coverage, or unemployment insurance premiums to pay. Amazon laid off 18,000 employees, and the cost totaled $640 million. As of November, Steam has grown to 900 employees in 12 different offices, according to the company. And to accommodate the growth, and they began renovations in one in Chattanooga. Increased freight demand has led to a huge hiring spree, but a slowdown in freight market rates and technology requiring fewer workers have been forced to scale back their staff. Freight brokerages cut nearly 1,000 jobs in mass layoffs so far. And then they denied any structured staff cuts, and we're continuing to hire key positions while approaching others a bit more conservatively as we study market volatility and plan for the future ahead, and market uncertainty and proceeding carefully and everything else. And, it's seeing this article as a whole, like I understand from the employer's standpoint, like obviously Steam is saving a lot of money by paying somebody $2,000 to quit if they want to quit and walk away, instead of being forced to lay them off if the market continues to go in one direction or another. Again, I don't have access to Steam's books, but this is just my perception off of this. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense. It makes sense to offer them $2,000 to see if somebody would leave. I personally wouldn't do it that way at all. But again, this is just my perspective on it. I think that it's, I don't know. I think that strategically hiring is always the magic ball, right? Like, how do you properly guess how much headcount to bring on, how much to, and to sustain at that level? And is it costing you business by not having enough headcount and by running lean? I personally feel that executives are paid to know these things, though, and I would let, it's just a different way to, it's just it's a cheaper way to not have to lay anybody off is really what it boils down to. Again, I personally couldn't do it that way at all, but it makes sense from a business standpoint as a whole. And it's, again, there's a lot of other companies that are laying off right now that are, you're done. You came in, guys who I know some people who have worked for companies for a very long time, 8, 10, 20 years, and they're getting axed right now. It's a shitty time to be without of a job for certain roles in there. Rest assured, quality employees will always have a job. It might take a little bit longer, but quality employees will always have a job. And as always, if you were affected by any of these layoffs or anything like that, reach out to me, DM me. I can put you in contact with recruiters. I know people are hiring still and everything else that are out there. And I will do anything and everything in my power, you guys, to make sure that people land on their feet somewhere. And then frankly, I'm hiring at Freight Coach Logistics as well for commission only sales role. So if you want to learn from me and learn with me and be a part of my team in a commission only role, hit me up. You guys know how to find me. I'm pretty active out there on social media, but yeah, I think that it's going to be an interesting time this year, you guys. It's going to be interesting out there, and you're going to see a lot of different. I don't think that the layoffs are anywhere near done. I think that there was a major error by a lot of companies over these last couple of years in panic hiring individuals, and I think it all started at the beginning of 2020 and panic laying everybody off at that time. I think that people should have just sustained it for a couple of months. And again, balancing headcount is, it's never easy, but it's also an executive's jobs. Like, you should fucking know how many people you need. You should be able to see how this is going to play out. This is why you're paid the big bucks. I think that what you see, a lot of it is it's very reactive in these moments. I think that they overhired, and they knew they overhired in those moments, and they knew it was only a matter of time before they could lay it off. But when your numbers are up, it's easy to bury that shit. But when the markets change and you're exposed, a lot of people are out of a job at that moment, and it sucks. But it's one of the main driving forces why I'll never have a fucking W-2 ever again for anybody but me. because I'm going to continue to fight every single day to build my dreams up, because mark my words, I will be the largest freight brokerage in North America. All right. It's going to happen. But that's going to be it for today, you guys. And I don't know if LinkedIn, if you're watching on LinkedIn and and you've been putting comments in, I haven't seen any comments come through at all today on YouTube or LinkedIn. So maybe nobody's watching today. That's why. Maybe nobody fucking tuned in. And that's a possibility, but I doubt it, because I have a very loyal audience who shows up every single day. So if you are watching over on YouTube or LinkedIn and you have been putting shit in the comments, nothing has came through today. I'm not ignoring you. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, you guys. I got some freight moving. I got to get prepared for some sales calls here in a little bit. So I got to cut it a couple minutes short today, but rest assured, you guys, I'm in it with you. I'm in it with you. I'm building my company up with you. And if you guys, again, any sales or operations related questions bring to the table, you guys, I'll answer them live on the show. I'll go over real world examples about what I'm doing inside of my companies to help mitigate some of these markets that we're in right now. But that's it for today, you guys. The Freight Coach Morning Show. As always, if you guys saw value in it, subscribe and share the show. That's all I can ask. Share it, because if you guys see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you.